9th, 2022. Coming at you for The Walking Dead with this Connect. It's taking its little sweet time, you know, it does with YouTube. So I'll wait for it to catch you up and all that stuff, guys. So what's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, and my fighters? I'm One Eyebrow, also known as PT. You don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about the Walking Dead universe. We're going to talk about New York Comic-Con. That's going to be a focal point of this live stream too. We'll talk about 11, 17, 18, and 19. The future of the Walking Dead universe, a bunch of different topics. So what's up, Negan One? So we'll talk about a bunch of different topics of the Walking Dead universe. And I'm excited, guys. So today is October 9th, 2022. I've watched season 11, episode 17, 18, and this morning 19. I know some people have been having some trouble with AMC Plus, and it's not a perfect app by any mean. So if you're getting troubles with it, you're not alone. That's for sure. But it's one of those things where I'm excited to talk about the Walking Dead universe because we got a lot of information yesterday from New York Comic-Con. And it's the last Walking Dead panels for the main show. I would assume we're going to get, you know, the Walking Dead universe panels at Comic-Con next year. Maybe for like the Negan stuff. And probably whoever's left on the main stuff. Maggie, Negan, Daryl, Carol, Rick, Michonne. I would assume they'll come back next year for a Walking Dead universe panel. But we'll have to see. That's just assumptions right now. So thank you guys for being here, being part of the live stream. We'll talk from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock East Coast time, depending on where you're at. You know, it could be morning, afternoon, night. I don't know where you're at. But hopefully you're safe and sound. A difference a week makes. It's crazy to think about where I was last week with the hurricane, trying to get the new battery for the laptop, got it right before the stuff, watching the 2 episodes, doing this, doing that, jumping here, jumping there. It's been a crazy week, but hopefully you and yours are safe and sound. All over the Grape Tomato Girl from San Diego. Very cool, very cool. So I just want to give a shout out to Negan One, Patricia, David, Heart of Nixie, Mass Ninja, Rob K, Fire Fliz, 60, Diana, Grape Tomato Girl, David, Big Tree, RWF 456. Hope you're all safe and sound, and everybody else that joins there too. So yesterday was the New York Comic-Con panel, and I shared a YouTube video of that panel on Facebook at the PT channel. Hopefully you like that Facebook page, the PT channel, and I shared it in our Walking Dead community group as well. So you can definitely check it out. I think it ends right before they finish it. So whoever did the video of that in New York, pretty cool stuff. It's a lot of good stuff. And Chris Hardwick hosted. Gimple is there. Maggie, Negan, Connie, Daryl, Princess, Yumiko, and Mercer are all there, I believe. I don't think I missed anybody. But it's a good panel. It's about 48 minutes or so is the video length. And I'm excited for you guys to check it out. And the future of The Walking Dead. So they did talk about season 11, the final 8 episodes a little bit. They talked about Negan and Maggie's show, Dead City. We saw some first look photos of that, which looked pretty good. Daryl talked about his French Connection show. So Daryl's in France. Greg Nicotero was not there at the panel because he was in France getting ready for filming. I guess they're going to film pretty soon, and he'll probably be, I don't know if he's the showrunner for that show or if he's just a producer or if he's working on, you know, producing and making the zombies and stuff. I don't know. Angela Kang wasn't there because Gimple said she was in Korea for some, I don't know, he didn't really get into it, but he said it's a hard commute to come from Korea to New York and from France to New York. So Greg Nicotero and Angela Kang weren't there. So that was I would have liked to have seen them there, but it was still a good panel. They didn't really talk about the Rick and Michonne thing besides that happening early next year to start filming. The big news was that Dead City is going to premiere April 2023. So if that's April, I'm assuming that Fear the Walking Dead Season 8A is February and March into April, and then Dead City will pick up from there, and then maybe the Daryl show in the summer, and then the Rick and Michonne show will probably be October, I'm guessing. That's just my preliminary thought process of the timeline for next year, but we just don't know. Jonathan Wilder, Q&A, what was your reaction when you saw Jerry and Negan first interaction with one another? It was good. I like Negan to interact with a bunch of people. And I like to see people interact that haven't interacted before. It was pretty cool. Like Negan, I don't think has ever really talked with Jerry on the show, if much at all. And it was kind of cool to see that. And I want to see these interactions that we've never really seen before. Like, it's kind of annoying when people have never met on the show. They probably have met in the Walking Dead universe off camera and whatever, if you think about it in the world building aspect. But they just haven't seen it. We haven't seen it on the show. So season 11 so far, part 3 has been good. I thought it was a really good thing. 17, 18, and 19 are good episodes. 17 and 18 have more action than 19, in my opinion, but they're still good. 19 is more of a setup episode for episode 20, which looks to be great. From the trailer for what's happening on there as well, but we'll get into those episodes for sure. I don't want to give too much away just yet. We'll talk about some minimal non-spoiler stuff. But for those who, I think everybody should have watched season 11, episode 17 by now, right? So what did you guys think of 17? Good start, good there. It's a good ending point for the episode, and season 11, episode 17 and 18, to me, it feels like one big episode for sure. Freddy Krueger was in episode 17. Rob K says, yeah, he definitely was. It's a very quick, the walker that Daryl kills in the drains, the sewers, has facial stuff, the makeup, the prosthetics look like Freddy Krueger. Plus, he's rocking a red and a black striped sweater shirt thing, and I think he's even wearing a glove in the episode too. So it's definitely something that you may have missed, but I talked about it in one of our Easter egg videos, and it's always cool to see. Let me see if I missed anything here too. But hopefully, you guys, if you want to check out that panel for New York Comic-Con, it's up on my Facebook page. So it's always cool to see and share with you guys some stuff there. And a lot of stuff was happening yesterday. People were live tweeting from there. I think somebody also said on Twitter that Andrew Lincoln was there, but I didn't see it on the video at all. He came out, said hello, and then went away. So I don't know if that was true or not or whatever, but it remains to be seen there too. Also, if you saw my Carl video, that the Pudding House, which is right there in Sonoy, right behind Alexandria, the owners of the house put up a skeleton that was dressed similar to the way Carl looked on top of the roof. And it's the Pudding House, so they made Carl come back for the Halloween decorations, which is pretty cool. It's probably going to drive more people to the house, but it's kind of a cool thing for the Walking Dead family as well. Jonathan Wilder, did you go extreme last night? Also, Bray Wyatt returning got the biggest pop ever. I put on Extreme Rules because there's the WWE wrestling match. My dad was saying something earlier this week because it was in Philly. And my dad, anytime Philly is mentioned, my dad loves the Phillies. They just won their series against the Cardinals, so they'll be advancing to the next round, which is cool. I'm not a Phillies fan. I'm a Yankees fan. But the Phillies are, doing well for them. And the Extreme Rules was in Philly, and he was talking to me about it and this and that. And so I put it on, and I actually saw the match with Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. And Ronda Rousey, to me, I don't like her as really an athlete, as a showman, as a WWE superstar. She's just, I don't know. She's a poor sport from the UFC days and stuff when she lost to Misha, or when she beat Misha and stuff. Sorry, she lost to I'm blanking on the girl's name when she got kicked in the face, which was pretty awesome. But I'm just not a big fan of her either. And I saw what happened there where Ronda won, and I didn't watch any other matches after that. But yeah. So Jeannie, if you check out my Easter egg video of 11/17, I have some pictures of Freddy Krueger Walker. I think it's about the 30-minute mark of the episode. If you go back and watch season 11, episode 17, it may be like in the 30, maybe 31-minute mark off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but it's around there for sure. It's when they go into the sewers. So 11/17 is good. 11/18 is good. 11/19 is good. It's just slower. So the name of the episode 11/19 is Variant. And they've talked about it, and we saw from the trailers that the Variant Walkers are back. And we get to see them in this episode. It makes sense because Variant walkers. And to me, when we saw it in the trailer and they were hinting at stuff from the World Beyond post-credit scene, to me, it just seems too little, too late. It just seems like it should have happened months ago, seasons ago. It's a good way for them to continue with the lore of the Walkers for the Daryl show, for Dead City, for the Rick and Michonne show, and whatever they decide to do after that, right? Because it makes sense. But what do you guys feel about the variant Walkers? Is it a nice homage to the first season? Is it too little, too late? Is it just a waste of time? What do you think? So the big thing about the Walking Dead universe is that it feels like it's ending, but not ending. We know that we're going to have, so it's 8 episodes. We watched 3 of them. We got 5 more. And tonight on Talking Dead is Mercer, Max, and Sebastian. And if you saw 11-18, you know kind of what happens in the story, why those 3 are involved, so you get to see kind of what it was. So it's interesting to see, that it's not like a special guest. They're announced that as ready as those 3. But we'll have to see what happens later on this season, too. I didn't watch the first 11-17 Talking Dead, but I think they talked about the Freddy Krueger thing. I know it was on Instagram where Greg Nicotero posted the picture of the Freddy Krueger Walker being done up. But it was definitely cool. I love the homage there as well. That's a good question. I think it was Jeannie that asked about the how can you do that, about legally wise. It's definitely a kind of interesting thing when you have homage to other horror stuff. And Greg Nicotero has probably worked on so many, or his K&B Effects company has worked on so many different horror genre stories that he might be able to be connected with that too, which makes sense too. Yeah, I mean, when the variant Walkers have been like, where have they been all this time though? That's my biggest question is, why are they doing it now? Where have they been for over 10 years in the zombie apocalypse? It works, but it doesn't. It doesn't work, but it does work. It's kind of one of those things where we'll just roll with it. The Walkers to me are like nice, like the Freddy Krueger Walker, or the Tank Walker, or Teddy Bear Girl, or Bicycle Girl, or the Well Walker. They're nice little moments that's like, oh, did you see that Walker? Oh, did you see that Walker? Oh, did you see the Walker? That was whatever. Night of the Living Dead Walker, this Walker, that Walker. But they're small in comparison to the story, to the connections with the characters, to where the story's going, what it is. And so when you watch the opening, you see that they have an homage to a character basically in the openings now. The first episode, 11-17, is just a general one where the characters have been. 11-18 is Daryl, narrated by Judith. They're all narrated by Judith. And 11-19 is Eugene. So you get to see where Eugene came from with Abraham and lying about being a scientist and Rosita and this, and it's kind of cool. And then they highlight Eugene more in the episode. So I think they'll probably do that. So we have 5 episodes left. I would assume they will do that with Maggie, with Negan, with Carol. So that's 3. What would be the other 2? Right? Like, what other characters could they really highlight? Maybe Judith? Because you would have to be on the show for a long enough time to still stick around for it. I don't know who the other ones would be for the last moments of it as well. Still no Oceanside. That's still kind of a plot hole for stuff. But I would assume we'll see that maybe next week in 11-20 or 21 or 22. I don't know. Then we're running out of episodes, right? So we'll have to see ultimately how it goes down. But ultimately, it's been good so far. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy The Walking Dead still. That remains to be seen how it's like, how it's done. There's still some, and there haven't been any moments so far that have been like, what the, except for when there's so many walkers left, like in 11-17 or in 11-19. There's like still so many walkers that we'll get into that too. Jonathan Wilder Q&A: Carol from The Walking Dead versus Laurie from Halloween. Who would win? Getting ready for Halloween Ends. I wouldn't say that Carol would fight Laurie. Like, it makes no sense that Carol versus Laurie would happen. But Carol, it depends on what universe you're in, right? If you're in the Halloween universe, Laurie's going to win. If you're in the Walking Dead universe, Carol's going to win. Because nobody's taking Carol down unless Carol does it herself, right? There's just not that. And the same thing with Laurie. So when Laurie goes against, and basically ends the Halloween franchise, she's going to have to die, right? And I guess her dying is going to take out, the story and where it goes from there. But that comes out Friday, I believe. So we'll have to, see what they ultimately do. And I think that if a thing has ends in the title, it needs to feel like an ending, a true ending, right? I don't want it to be an end, but this part ends. The next one's going to be, whoever takes over the Halloween franchise. I don't know. But I just don't think Laurie and Carol would ever fight each other. Laurie's worried about bigger things than Carol, for sure. Dawn says, I thought this episode was awesome. I love the dialogue between the characters. Great writing this episode. I agree, Dawn. I think 1119 is what I assume you're talking about, Dawn. 1119, titled Variant, which is a lot of dialogue, a lot of setup with Eugene and Rosita and Daryl and Max and Mercer and Princess. That's kind of it's a heavy dialogue episode. Lance is in it. Lance Hornsby's in the chat as well. Q&A. It's crazy how Pamela became super villainous out of nowhere in this episode. I don't like. That's a good question, or that's, I guess, the point. That's not a Q&A. It's just a point. So Pamela Milton, is she a villain? Because I don't know if she. I wouldn't. So if you got to say hero or villain, I would say villain. But I don't think she's a villain like Alpha, like Negan, like the governor, like the wolves, I see her as a person that's trying to run. I see her as Deanna, right? And she knew Deanna, which is kind of far-fetched, but she knew Deanna, and I think that the Commonwealth is a bigger, better, overpopulated, it's the Alexandria times 1,000 is the Commonwealth. But Pamela Milton is all worried about taking care of the Commonwealth, her legacy, the Milton name. And I guess it's a prime example that Sebastian was born and raised with a silver spoon up his butt, didn't have to do with anything, because if Grandpa was president of the United States, then he didn't really have to want for anything. He got what he wanted. And I don't really sympathize with those people. I don't connect with those people. I don't empathize with those people. I was not that way. I never had it easy. My parents got divorced when I was 2 years old, and then I had, step parents and step this, and got to move around a little bit and over here and over there. And I never had to, I never went for stuff. My parents took care of me, but it was not easy at times. And I think Pamela Milton has had her political career and everything like that too. And Sebastian grew up in a way that he could get away with things. And since he was the, political family's grandson and son, and he could get away with a bunch of things, like people do in politics and celebrities and rich and powerful people all the time. And it's a good character, for that. And I think it's right on. Sadie Louise says, what is with the way Pamela touches Lance, and why does he react that way? So creepy. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in the episode. But so in 11:18 and 11:19, Pamela Milton brushes Lance's face, and he's like goes into it in this weird, romantic, erotic, gross, creepy way. It's just weird. And does he have a thing for Pamela Milton? It's just weird. I think it's something to do with that, where something, I don't know. But yeah, it's weird. I definitely agree. Question, PT, do you also think they should have done more with the variant walkers? Cool, it did pick up a rock, but they really could have done more. So I'm hoping, Professor Moo, too, that they'll show more of that in the following episodes. So we finally got the hint of that, and we got to see that. And it's a nice callback to the first season of it. It just seems weird that we didn't see it previously. And how did the walkers not be intermingled with the whisperers kind of thing? It's just weird. It just seems like it's forcing it to work for us. And it kind of works. But it's all right. It's ending either way. So, Jonathan Wilder, Q&A, did you like Daryl and Negan unexpected tag team on last week's episode? I like Daryl and Negan working together. That is the Rick Negan working together aspect from the comic. Like, they don't like each other. They have to work with each other, because they'll get more done accomplished working with each other. If they fought each other, somebody would end up getting hurt or getting killed, and we know Daryl's not going to get killed, and we know Negan's not going to get killed. So it just works better if they work for it. That just makes sense. So I do like the idea of Negan and Daryl working together, being just like the comic connection too. So. Lance, speaking about Lance has the liking to be submissive to women fetish. Maybe. I don't know. I could see it. Like, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know the psyche of people when they do that. Like, the people like some weird stuff, and whatever they do behind closed doors, as long as they're not hurting themselves or others, and with consenting adults and it's consensual stuff, go ahead, man. Knock yourself out is my take on life. Go ahead, do whatever you want, but as long as you don't hurt yourself, others, other people, and whatever Lance does. Lance does some weird stuff because Lance is a weirdo. But so first, let's get into. So we're about 20 minutes in. Let's talk about the episodes a little bit more, guys. So spoiler warning. I don't want to ruin anything for you guys. I try to wait a little bit to have general topics, but there's a lot of questions in here and a lot of stuff for talking. I don't know what you know. So spoiler warning for sure for all the episodes in the season so far as well. So Efren Guzman asks, One Eyebrow, what's your prediction for the ending of the show? So my prediction is that all the survivors are going to take back their communities. We're going to have Hilltop under whoever's going to run Hilltop. Because if Maggie leaves, who's going to run Hilltop? And Maggie leaves with Negan, so we know that happens at some point. I would guess Father Gabriel or whoever survives is going to run Alexandria. The Commonwealth will probably be run by, I would assume, Ezekiel. I think Ezekiel would really help run that. I think Yumiko would really help there. Connie, Kelly would all stay there and do their own thing as well. Magna, the people, the Commonwealth would become a democracy and take back the Commonwealth and not be run by the Miltons or anybody, dictatorship kind of thing like that. And whoever dies will be memorialized. It'll be a thing where it's going to be an ending. I don't know if it's going to feel like Maggie and Negan have to go at the end of it, or if that's going to be the start of theirs where we find out. Like does it end with Herschel being kidnapped, Annie being kidnapped or taken or killed or whatever, and that's where they have to leave? Because the ending, that's not going to feel like an ending. It's going to feel like set up for the spinoffs. And for what I'm hearing from Angela Kang and Gimple is that they are going to be, it's an ending. The main show is ending. The spinoffs are their own thing, but the spinoffs are not going to be a continuation of the way it ends, is what I'm hearing is what it is. But we'll have to see how it actually plays out too. I saw a CRM question, Professor Moo. You don't think the CRM will show up last episode and kill them all and separate survivors? I'm thinking that's how these spinoff shows happen. I don't think so, personally. I think that would be a way to do it. But again, the ending, it has to end. There's a beginning, a middle, and an ending. It has to feel like a satisfied ending. If it just feels like the main show ends and they set up all this stuff, like CRM comes in, why don't you just do season 12 then? Why don't you just do, and because you're going to have so many cast members still alive to continue on with the story. And also Norman Reedus, I didn't say that a lot of familiar faces will be showing up somehow, some way in his story, in his show, in the future of stuff is what I got out of that. I can't remember if he was talking about his show, because he talked about Melissa, and he talked about, because they showed you the opening for 11/18 when Daryl basically has Lance with a knife and he stabs him in the hand, and Carol comes over to him and they talk, but he made a point to talk about Melissa McBride and to say that it got super quiet in here when Melissa McBride was talking to Daryl because your attention is on Melissa. You don't want to miss it, or on Carol. You don't want to miss it. So Carol, I'm sure Norman Reedus is getting a little flack about the Carol Daryl show is now the Daryl show. But could Carol come back for that show? Is she okay to travel now? Is it okay to go to Europe now? Is she comfortable with doing that? I don't know. They didn't really talk about that, but it just makes sense that Carol and Daryl will connect at some point down the road, maybe the very end of the series. But if Daryl just shows up and he's dropped off in France and he wakes up, how did he get there? Why did he get there? Who took him? Is Dog with him? Is anybody else with him? What happened? We haven't seen Dog yet. And I get it for filming and characters and people around and stuff there, but I don't know. Jonathan Wilder Q&A, what if Father Gabriel and Eugene had never stepped up in the series? Then they probably would have been killed off, I guess, right? I think Robert Kirkman, one of his favorite characters, if not his favorite character, is Eugene. And I remember him talking about he would be like Eugene in The Walking Dead. He would have other people do stuff for him. He would hide and lie and do this. I remember him talking about that. It was a long time ago, so I might not be quoting it right, but I feel like he was talking about Eugene as a character that is near and dear to him. And I get that, too. As a writer myself, I like all my characters, even if they're bad. They mean a lot to me in my story. David's giving us updates. Bills 7, Steelers 3. And when I'm writing my book or going, editing it and stuff, and I'm picturing it and I'm visualizing up, some characters mean a little bit more to me, especially in the story, and it means a lot to me. And, I could see that. And Eugene actually really stepped. They give Eugene a lot of dialogue in 11:19. And I have to comment about Rosita being seen. Rosita's got a lot more story in 11:17, 18, and 19. Crom, CTF, Com, relax, esports, relax, man. Let's all just get along and, let's not really get, crazy. Your question was, did any main characters die? No main characters have died yet in the first 3 episodes. Or of part 3. So 17, 18, and 19, no main characters have died. So it's definitely something that we're waiting, and it may take a couple more episodes for that to happen. And if you know the channel, potentially who is probably going to die. When they start focusing on more and more when they're giving a character more and more story, focus, that usually doesn't. Look at Denise and look at the different characters in Alexandria when they did that. They're just there as well. Jonathan Wilder Q&A, what if the Whisperers came before Negan and the Saviors? They would be wiped out pretty quickly because all the guns, they would be mowed down pretty quickly. They wouldn't stand a chance. They probably would have lasted about all of 10 minutes because you would have had rocket launchers and machine guns and handguns just to take them down. And the Whisperers wouldn't have been able to get close at all. Efren Guzman, One Eye, how many Walking Dead figures you have, and do you collect the figures that look like Funko Pops? Efren, I was selling a bunch of my stuff that I had. Right now, I have Michonne, Daryl, Carol, Rick, the main characters as my action figures, like the not the Funko Pops, but the figures that are in the casing by McFarlane. And I got rid of all my Funkos are gone. I sold all my Funkos besides I have 2 different Michonne ones, I believe, and a couple ones that mean a lot to me. And I have some comics, and I have that. But I'm trying to clear out a lot of that stuff in there, too. So I have some stuff on eBay right now still. Lance Hornsby Q&A, why is Pamela keeping Walker Sebastian? She seems smart enough to know that he's completely dead and can't be cured. So why? I guess, Lance, so let's get into that a little bit. So in 11:18, Sebastian is bit by a walker, and that's how the episode ends. And Judith shoots the walker that bit Sebastian twice. 11:19, we get to see that Sebastian he's dead. He's not a walker yet, but he's in the morgue. We see Mercer and Pamela Milton talking. And Mercer's like, you want me to put him down? And Sebastian is laying there. He's not a walker yet. Pamela Milton says, don't touch him until I tell you so. Until I tell anyone to do it. You're not touching him at all. So Sebastian stays a walker, or stays on. He dies and doesn't reanimate or become a walker for a good amount of time. But it's basically the dialogue with Pamela Milton saying, I know what you were, and I wasn't stupid, but I didn't think it would come to this, and blah, 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 blah. So she's basically building the case that she's going to avenge what happened to Sebastian. And she wants Eugene to do it. It's either between Max and Eugene. And Mercer is not going to let Max, his sister, take the fall for it. So they're building up the whole thing that Mercer is going to be put in a precarious situation time and time again. And they did that again in this episode. Every episode so far, 17, 18, and 19, keeps pushing the envelope. Mercer, you don't have power. Mercer, you don't have people. These are your things, Mercer. Join our team. Do this, Mercer. Go against the Miltons. Go against Lance. Protect your sister. Stop your pledge and your loyalty to the Commonwealth and do that. And he's just not there yet. But it's getting there. So Sebastian eventually reanimates, and Pamela says to the Commonwealth trooper, take care of it. So my understanding was that Sebastian was going to be put down. But later on in the episode, Lance is in the holding cell. Pamela Milton goes in and talks to him. Or is in like a different cell, like a solitary holding cell, torture chamber kind of thing. And he's on his knees and his hands are tied. And they talk and they do this. And Pamela Milton comes in and basically says, we're going to play a little game here. We'll do it this way. So she reaches in his pocket, and Lance probably likes that because it's like in his leg pocket, in his front left leg pocket, pants pocket. Takes out the coin, and she puts the coin one hand back and forth, and she's like, "We'll do it your way." So it's one of those things that you think she's going to flip it, but she doesn't. She puts the coin in one hand, and she sticks out her hands, and he's got to guess which hand the coin is in. And and Pamela Milton says to Lance, we'll play a game. If you choose wisely and you choose correctly, you'll live. So he looks at the hands and nods to her left hand, and the coin's in there. And she's like, you got to keep him alive. Puts the coin back in his pocket, his vest pocket. She's about to leave, and they bring in Sebastian, who's a walker now, on one of the little holder things. It seems like it would be for like a dog or whatever, but it's around the neck. Bringing him in, and Pamela Milton's like, yeah, so have fun with that. And Lance is like, I don't understand what's going on. And then they drop a body in the room, and it's Calhoun, the bald guy. That's Lance's people. Because Pamela Milton actually knows what Lance did, that his people killed the workers to start the rioting and the problems inside the Commonwealth. But Lance did that to show the fact is that they need Lance. You need Lance. He's like, you need me to protect this place and to do these things. And I have people that can hurt this place or help this place. And he didn't think that Sebastian would die. And there's no way you could have thought that, because that'd be pretty terrible. But Calhoun was shot in the head, and he's dead in the forehead, so he's not going to turn. Sebastian is a walker inside the room. They drop a machete in there, and Pamela says, feed my son. And then she leaves the cell. We know Lance is going to live. Is he going to kill Sebastian, the walker? I'm guessing, because how could you keep the walker there? Or are you going to let Sebastian eat Calhoun? I don't really know what to come of that, but that's next week's episode, I'm guessing. So the whole thing is that Daryl finds Eugene, because Eugene is running with Max in the melee after the aftermath of Sebastian. Because, again, Sebastian died in 11:18, and how it ends, 11:19 kind of picks up where Max and Eugene are running in the melee. I don't know why they're not holding hands, but they get separated. Jonathan, well, I didn't watch Interview with the Vampire, the episode, the series, and I'm probably not going to. So maybe some people have. I'm just not going to. Sorry, Chrome CTFCon Esports. Thank you, Brian, for answering me and Q&A. Was the variant episode underwhelming, or was the variant walkers good? It's an okay episode. It's not action packed, but it's a good setup episode. They kind of. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's worth watching. It's still another good episode. I liked 17 and 18 better, but 19 is another good episode. So 11-19 picks up after the melee in the Commonwealth, and Max and Eugene aren't holding hands for some reason. So they get separated. Eugene grabs this woman by the shoulder and turns around thinking it's Max, but it's not. Eugene's looking around, and the woman yells at Eugene, like, "You're the one that did it. You're the one that killed Sebastian." And you're like, great, who cares? Like, don't turn against, Sebastian was terrible. But she's like, you're the one that did it. Like, diming out Eugene. The Commonwealth troopers are smacking people in the face with the rifles, and they're handling the people very much better than the walkers, I have to say. So Eugene is looking around what to do. Daryl grabs him and says, "Come on, we got to go." And he's like, no, where's Max? He's like, we got to go. So they go into a room, they go away. So evidently, Daryl was interrogated by Mercer because Pamela Milton wants Eugene. And if she can't get Eugene, she wants all the people affiliated with Eugene. And who's still there? Daryl, Rosita, Aaron left. A lot of people left. So Rosita gets interrogated, and Mercer's playing the tough cop. And Rosita's like, "What? We're doing this now? I was part of your group. Like, what are you doing? Why are you being so difficult for me?" Which was like, I understand what Mercer's doing, but it was just, it's a little overkill. And he needs to start flipping over to the goods, and he will. He's not going to go against Max. He's going to go against the Commonwealth, and we're seeing that it's difficult for him, and it's kind of the defying line that Max is going to get in trouble and try to help Eugene and stuff, and Mercer's going to help out. So Princess was interrogated, Daryl was interrogated, and Rosita was interrogated. Princess breaks up with Mercer basically because Princess feels for Eugene. And I'm guessing Ezekiel was interrogated because you see them get kind of, I guess, captured by the Commonwealth troopers. And Eugene is basically part of the group, and Princess respects him and wants that. I'm excited that to see where it's going and to see how it plays out. And it just kind of needs to pick up a little bit more. And it's done a good job. It's on the if it keeps having the same story arc, but I think next week's episode is going to be action packed, with Daryl and Carol and stuff, and they're going to have to use Lance and stuff next week, is what I'm guessing. So Princess talks with Mercer, and they kind of have an argument about stuff. And Princess wants Mercer to protect Eugene, but Mercer is trying to protect Max because again, it's either Max or Eugene who's going to take the fall for it. And Mercer is not going to let Max take the fall for it. That's his sister, So Pamela Milton wants Max or Eugene for it. And he's like, look, if you give me Eugene, Max will be free. Which we don't know if that's going to happen or not. But Eugene ends up getting captured at the end of the episode. Because he walks right into the police precinct. And he walks right in. And it's like they're doing the hustle and bustle and nobody's looking at him. And then some guy finally looks at him like, oh, on the ground. And he's like, goes on the ground. He's like, I'm Eugene Porter. I recorded Sebastian, played it on there. I worked alone. I did that. Max had nothing to do with it. It was all me. So he takes the fall for it at the end of the episode. But before that, Daryl is at the church. Rosita goes to the church. They talk. Eugene, Rosita, they talk. And Eugene doesn't want to leave without Max. So Rosita's like, okay, look, I'll go out and look for Max. Stay here. Because Daryl knows when the shift change will be, knows when stuff will happen, and knows basically when they could possibly get away. So I'm guessing that Father Gabriel already left to go back with baby Coco, I'm guessing, because we don't see them. We see Aaron, Jerry, Lydia, and Elijah. So they're using the cart, and they're going down the path, and they're looking, and they see all these walkers in the distance. And they're like, oh, let's get off the path. Let's stay away from the walkers. And so when they go off the path, they got to take the cart through the woods, which is kind of dumb, but I get why they're doing it. Jerry ends up getting hurt. He hurts his knee as the cart gets stuck and pulled out and hurts Jerry. And they go and they find the Renaissance Fair place, which is cool. It's a nice little setup, which I feel like they should have stayed there. Like, how did somebody not take over the fair? The medieval festival thing. And Jerry even talks about it like Kingdom 2.0, and that's what I was thinking too. Let's have the this be the new Kingdom spot. And they even talk about at towards the end of the episode where Jerry's like, hey, Ezekiel could be the new king here. And Aaron's like, nah, how about King Jerry? And Jerry's like, hey, King Jerry and Queen Nabila. I like that. I like that a lot. So that'd be kind of cool, right? So when they go to the medieval Renaissance, fair place, it's a real place in Georgia, I believe. Before they get there, they see a walker kind of turn. Like they're walking amongst a bunch of walkers, and the walker turns. Like it's listening. That we know from the trailer. We knew that was going to happen. And so you see Elijah tries to kiss Lydia, and Lydia's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go get more stuff. And so he shoots down Elijah, stuck in the friend zone. No, but then I'm just kidding. And then they kiss later on. But Aaron and Lydia, as they're on watch, they talk. And, Aaron talks about Eric and how he, said no, he wouldn't go on a date with Eric for like 6 months. And he wishes that he didn't put up a fight or say no so he would have had more time with Eric. And he said he was married, but not in the conditional sense, in the traditional sense. And so he talks about Eric, which is nice. It's always nice when they talk about previous characters and where they've been and stuff. And it's really cool to see, too. Jeannie Schmidt says, why do they think Max and Eugene are at fault? I'm confused. So the recording that played over the thing in 11:18, Max recorded Sebastian. Sebastian knows that it was Max. Eugene plays the recording over the speakers. So Max and Eugene are working together. Sebastian runs after Max. So then I'm guessing that Pamela Milton knows that Max was involved because Sebastian was going after Max. And then Eugene was in charge of the speakers and the video equipment or the audio equipment. So it makes sense that he would be in trouble. Sebastian got killed, so the people that make the most sense to be in trouble are Max and Eugene because of the audio thing, even though Sebastian was fighting and whatever. So what if Max got bit, right? Would Sebastian be okay with it? And what would Mercer do? That would actually have been the better story here, right? So Sebastian grabs Max at the end of 11:18. One of the walkers that Calhoun and Shira killed come over at one of the workers from the Commonwealth is about to bite Max. Eugene runs in, and also Eugene runs into the walker that runs into Sebastian. So Eugene knocks the walker into Sebastian. So Eugene is definitely at fault for that. But he saved Max. So none of us think Eugene was terrible. But what it would have been better, it would have been terrible to lose Max. But what if Max was bit instead of Sebastian? So then what would Mercer have done? Would he have killed Sebastian and then had a problem with the Miltons? Because if Sebastian was the reason that Max died, what would Mercer do? His allegiance would have been way tested more than it is right now, but they went this route, and either way, Sebastian was killed, and Max and Eugene are in trouble. Like I told you before, Max is on the run. Eugene wants Max to come and leave the Commonwealth with them. As Max is kind of hiding and running down an alleyway, she sees Rosita. Rosita is going to walk towards Max. The Commonwealth troopers pick up Max and bring her back. And Mercer has a plea bargain signed contract thing that says that Max was suffering depression. She wasn't taking her meds, that she acted out because of the medication, and basically puts all the blame on Eugene. She doesn't want to do that. She admits that she did it. She had a part. She was the one responsible for it. And Max is going to take the fall for it. She wants to take the fall for it. But Mercer is not going to let that happen. So Mercer wants to find Eugene for that. And so Eugene is in the church, talks with Rosita, talks with Daryl. And it's Daryl and Eugene. And they have their moments where they talk about life and this and that. And they talk about, are you born brave or you become brave? And Daryl says, both. And I think it's true. And one of the funniest parts is Eugene is willing to fight Daryl. He's like, to get by Daryl to go and try and find Max. And he's like, all right, we'll do this. And Daryl just looks at him like, and then he steps out of the way. And then Eugene walks by Daryl. And he's like, you're not going to stop me? He's like, nah, because he ain't going to leave. He ain't going to leave at all. and he doesn't. And they talk about what to do and this and that. And Eugene's like, look, I'm going to step up. And I'm going to turn myself in. And so Eugene's locked up in the jail cell at the end of the episode. And there'll probably be a trial, I'm guessing. And is Yumiko going to be the lawyer for Eugene? I'm guessing in a future episode. So the other thing is that Princess is focused on heavily in this episode. Princess talks to Ezekiel about, we got to get out of here. We got to do this. We got to get together. We can run out of here. Okay, so if we get Eugene and we do this, we can just leave. And Ezekiel's like, I'm not leaving. You guys can leave and we're going to do this, but this place needs to change and I can help change that or whatever. So Ezekiel's going to stay no matter what. So Princess is like, I got to leave. I'm going to get out of here. So she's packing up her stuff and she's about to leave. She opens up her door and she puts a bag down. She's got her pink jacket on, and Mercer goes to her apartment and they talk. And Princess is a character that I really like. Paola's, just way about her and how what she brings to the show. And I think she does a great job. And she talks about how this place, the Commonwealth, is like it's like a bad relationship. It's like a bad parent. It's like a bad place. And she talks about how her mom and her dad got divorced at 9 years old. Her mom remarried at 9.5. I think they said divorced, or maybe her dad died. I couldn't remember what it was. But either way, the parents were together. And then she got remarried, and Princess inherited a stepdad and a stepbrother that were terrible. And they used to, just not treat her well, and they would tie her up and lock her in a closet and beat her and just not be a good family member. And her mom would just let it happen. And she said, Juanita, the bills are paid. You got a roof over your head. You got all this. Why are you being like this? Juanita, you're safe. Why are you this? And she's like, I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to do this at all for what it was, and this is what it feels like. And so again, they're kind of hinting to Mercer, like, step up, Mercer, protect your sister, but do what's right. Go against the Miltons. Go against the Commonwealth. Let the people take over the Commonwealth for what it is. The people in charge are bad people. Let's get it done. So eventually he's going to come around, and I would assume it's going to be towards the end of the season and the series, but not yet. Jonathan Wilder, Q&A, why was the fake Stephanie and bald guy is after our people? So when before Daryl shot at Lance was on the radio and he was like, Calhoun, come in, Calhoun. But put in something about Daryl Dixon. I forget what it was, what he said. Something like precautionary measures or something, whatever it was, like plan B to go against Daryl. So Lance called in the fact that that's why they went to Daryl's apartment to, get it definitely makes sense where Lance called his people, Calhoun and Shira, to go do that. So Lance was responsible for that too. Lance Hornsby says, Q&A, I just realized if Lance got the coin flip wrong, Pamela was going to let Walker Sebastian eat Lance. Yeah, I'm guessing. I guess that's what it was. So he was kept alive because he chose right. If he chose wrong, then he would be killed by Sebastian, I guess. So it reminded me a lot of The Governor, where the governor was keeping his daughter alive, Penny, and now Pamela Milton has Sebastian, and she's keeping him alive, and I guess feeding people to Sebastian the Walker. So we'll have to see how that goes down in the future episodes. But let's get back to the Aaron, Lydia, Elijah, and Jerry part. So this is where the variant cohorts come in. So Elijah and Jerry are relaxing off on their own. You see Lydia and Aaron after the conversation about Eric and this, and basically, how are you and Elijah doing? Saying that don't take it for granted. Wish you had more time with your loved ones. And so Lydia ends up kissing Elijah later on the episode, like, oh, yeah, and they hug it out and have a nice moment, and then they get on the cart and they leave. But before that, you see it's at night now. You see Aaron and Lydia by a fire, and you hear like the gate open and some movement, and they're like, what? What is that? And you hear walkers in the distance. You don't really see them, and they're looking around like whatever, and then they look, and there's like a bunch of walkers walking towards them inside the Renaissance place with the walls and everything. So the walkers got in. I guess they climbed over the walls and opened the gates and opened, or one walker did. I don't know if they're all variants, but so Aaron takes out his knife and kills a walker. Lydia kind of hits a walker with one, and there's the variant walker that's focused on. There's like one in specific too. So Lydia stabs him in the chest and smacks a walker with her bow staff, but it's something that Lydia runs away and Aaron runs away, and then Elijah comes out of nowhere and kills a couple walkers with his commas, and then they run into a building, close the door, and as they're inside the building, the walkers turn the doorknob, and Jerry's like, what the? And he puts his back to the door, and then Elijah and Lydia climb up this little spot onto the roof. Aaron goes and holds the door while Jerry gets up there, and then Aaron joins them as well. As they look down, there's all these walkers. I mean, I don't know if there's like 50 walkers. There's like so many. Like, man, why are there so many there? But they talk about, the thing, and then it's the next morning. They kill all the walkers. Jerry, Aaron, Elijah, and Lydia are fine. But they're talking about, like, whispers, their whispers are here because they're opening doors. You're like, I've never seen this before. This is weird. So Jerry is like sitting there because his knee is bad, and the one variant walker climbs up over the wall, before they kill him, of course, but that night. And he's coming at Jerry, and Jerry finally turns like, what the? How'd you, what the? And then Aaron comes in there and, grabs his face, the walker's face, thinking it's a whisper skin mask and a whisper, and he rips off the face, and it's just like the blood and the skeleton, and it's just like there, and you're like, what the? This is a walker. And so he kills the walker, and then Aaron looks at it the next morning, and it's the walker skin, face, muscles, everything there too, and it's not a whisper. So then Aaron says the line, like, I always heard about walkers opening doors and coming to familiar places and saying this, but I didn't know if it was real or not, but now they know it's real. And then instead of staying there because they're going to Oceanside is where they're trying to go, they get into the cart, they roll out, and that's when they talk about King Jerry and Queen Nabila. So hopefully we'll see Oceanside next week. And, I'm curious because I'm making a video. I didn't make it yet, but I was going to make it tomorrow and probably post it, or make it today and post it tomorrow, talking about where's Virgil, where's Barbara, where's Luke, where's Jules, where's Diane, where's Scott, where's like all these characters that we haven't seen, right? It's just one of those things where you're like, especially where's Virgil, right? No idea. When we get to Oceanside, we'll see, I guess, what the Commonwealth did, how many characters are still left alive, and what happened there, and who got away, and we'll have to see. Jonathan Wallace says, Q&A, did you see Negan had a Whisperer skin mask? Well, he probably kept his Whisperer skin mask from before, and he used that in 11/17 to kill the Commonwealth trooper. And, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yenzi Rosario, hey, Bri, how's your day going? Good. How about you? Hopefully we're all doing well. Talking about Walking Dead Day, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon tonight. And if you watch that show, I enjoy House of the Dragon. It was just really dark. Last week's episode was really dark, like almost too dark, where it could have brightened it up a little bit. It was just a little too much. Lance Hornsby Q&A, in the Comic-Con trailer released last summer, we see a shot of Negan all bloodied, and it is about to hit someone with a rock, and he looks absolutely furious. What do you think is going on there? I think that is Negan at Alexandria killing a Commonwealth trooper when our group takes back Alexandria, is what I'm guessing, is what it is. Because you see in another clip, Pamela Milton is discussed by Negan and Maggie by a white bus inside Alexandria. And we know that a white bus full of prisoners, I believe, is going to Alexandria. So I'm thinking that's what it is that Negan is killing a Commonwealth trooper with a rock. And we know that Eugene is going to fight a Commonwealth trooper, and we know Sub's going to get real busy real fast, and some action is going to come back. There's more dialogue in 11:19, but again, it's a nice good setup episode, and we need those every now and again. We had 8 episodes left, 17, 18, and 19, so 3. We got 5 more. It's going to ramp up real quick. In the trailer, I'm thinking about the Daryl and Carol working together. That they have the Jeep, they take this. There's a spot where Daryl has his motorcycle and he rides it and he takes out the Commonwealth trooper in the woods. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. The stuff with Negan taking out someone with the rock. And then we have the big battle sequence that is going to be happening probably in 11:23 going into 11:24. 11:22, 23, 24 should be pretty awesome with the ending being 11:24. So, yeah, guys. So we'll just recap a little bit. New York Comic Con was yesterday. April 2023 will be Dead City, Negan and Maggie show. I'm excited about that. They're probably going to start filming the Rick and Michonne show next year. Late winter, early spring is the word. But there's plenty of time if they start filming in like March. It's probably going to take 3 months, April, May, June. And if they're not going to have the episodes until October, that's plenty of time to do post-production. Fear the Walking Dead, I'm guessing, is going to be the first show we'll see in 2023 in February. There hasn't been any mention of that. I'm just guessing because it fits the timeline. Walking Dead universe loves to be February, October, and now with spin-offs that are 6 episodes, they can get away with it and have Fear the Walking Dead, Dead City, Fear the Walking Dead, Daryl show, and then Rick and Michonne show too. So that fits for 2023, which is crazy to think that the main show is ending, but we're still going to see Maggie and Negan. We're going to see Fear the Walking Dead. We're going to see Daryl. We're going to see Rick and Michonne, and then whatever else they want to do with the characters that are still alive too, So we'll have to see how it goes down, but first 3 episodes of Part 3 have been really good in my opinion. I'm excited to see where it goes. Definitely keep an eye out for stuff for walkers like the Freddy Krueger walker and stuff there. There are some callbacks and some connections and Easter eggs and stuff, and I think there's going to be more of those throughout the rest of the season and the series because we only got so many episodes left. But it's a good thing that, it's coming to an end, but we're getting there, guys. It's sad but true that the world is ending in the Walking Dead universe of the main show. But Gimple, AMC Plus, the Walking Dead universe is going to be going strong because it still has a good following. And if you have Daryl, Maggie, Negan, Carol eventually, Rick, Michonne, I think Rick and Michonne, that series, if it's done right, can be really awesome and can be a step in the right direction because we want to feel satisfied. We want to feel conclusion. We want to have these big moments. And without Rick and Michonne, it's just going to feel empty. Without that happening, it just won't feel satisfied, in my opinion. And so if Rick and Michonne have to have their own series, then we'll see how it goes. Is it going to be more than 1 season? 2, 3 seasons? Who's going to be in that show? By that time, Kaylee Fleming is going to be, 18 years old and should be much older. RJ, if maybe recasted, who knows? We'll have to see what happens with that. I'll have to see. I'm excited. How about you guys as well? Jonathan Wilder, my last question, most likely. Q&A, if Carl doesn't go with Daryl to French, then... Coral, so probably Carol, doesn't go with Daryl to France, then should it be Connie who goes with him? I would be fine with that, but, so the way that Norman Reedus was talking about his show is that he was dropping, F-bombs and stuff, and he was cursing on there too. But he was like, it's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing. France is going to lose their minds. He's going to be this. It's going to be that. Don't oversell it. Gimple, Nicotero, because Nicotero did a lot of the episodes in, the last part. I think he did the finale. And he's talking about how he's excited about the episodes and he's proud of it and he's this and everybody works so hard. And it's the same stuff he says every year, every season on there too. But don't oversell the spinoffs because you want people to go there too. If people think that it's going to be amazing and it sucks, be like, well, that's not what I thought was going to happen, or this doesn't make sense. Let's not oversell it on there too. Let's kind of think it might not be that great. And then when it is, we're like, okay, good, we good. This is good. This is actually really entertaining too, you know? So, but the big question is too, is Rick and or Michonne or somebody going to show up in the final episode, the final moments of the series? Because the word I'm hearing in the video I made recently is talking about the episode or the series finale. The final episode changed. It was done. They filmed it, they shot it, and either they filmed something and changed the order, or they filmed something else and they put it there, or they switched it up, or they did something. They didn't give specifics, but the final scene of The Walking Dead is not the same that they shot then. So I don't know what that means. Did they shoot something else? Will we see Rick and Michonne in the post-credit scene where they actually show up? Because again, if the main show ends with that sets up things, which is good, but I don't know how you can have a satisfying ending. I really don't know if it's going to ever feel that way, how it goes too. Diana Bride Nicotero said that he's done the Krueger thing a number of times with different horror characters. Yeah, I'm sure. I know Nicotero did it a couple times, especially with some of the outfits and, you know, it's easy to put a Freddy Krueger sweater on some things there too, but it's always cool when they do that. I think it's a great thing, and Nicotero is pretty great at that too. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to spend the hour with me in the Walking Dead universe. I'll be back next Sunday to talk about The Walking Dead. Season 11, Part 3. Any other news we get, hopefully we'll get some other news about Daryl's show. And also Dead City, I believe they're filming the 5th episode currently. So it's going to be 6 episodes. So they have probably in a couple more weeks. So if they're filming episode 5 right now, then they probably got next week and then 2 more weeks for that. So they'll probably go the rest of October and then they'll be done. But they're filming in New Jersey, a lot of that stuff too. And they filmed a lot in New Jersey, which is cool, my home state. Remember, guys, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it. I'll be back next Sunday to talk about the Walking Dead universe. Tonight, Talking Dead, Max, Mercer, and Sebastian, because we know what happens to Sebastian. That's why he's there. How does it affect Max? How does it affect Mercer? And check out Talking Dead tonight. I'll be back next Sunday.